Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, my name's Donna. I've been on dialysis on and off since I was 23. I was diabetic from the age of 10, and I went on dialysis at 22 when my kidneys weren't strong enough to get me through a pregnancy.
What sort of dialysis at that time?
I went straight on to haemodialysis it was at Dalwood then at the hospital, and I started off with 3 days a week for 4 hours at a time, and they built me up quite a lot I got to 28 weeks with my pregnancy, and at that stage I was doing 5 days a week for 4.5 hours, just thinking about going up to 5 hours. And we built it up to get me through the pregnancy, but I didn't go any further because I had 28 weeks and I had the baby.
Okay. And how old is the son now?
He's 21 in January, so he's 20 now, yeah, nearly 21. And he's absolutely perfect, nothing wrong with him, thank God. I was very well looked after by everybody.
So during that time, that's your first experience as...
My first experience of dialysis. I'd lost 2 babies before that due to the kidneys not being strong enough to get me through. And yeah, I knew a little bit about dialysis because I had an uncle that did CAPD, but that was really hemo. That was the first I knew about it, and I was sort of taken straight in when they knew I was pregnant. Mm-hmm. Had a fistula, had a neckline put in and a fistula made, and dialysed from about 11 weeks on every 3 days, and then I had the baby and I come off dialysis for 3 years. He was nearly 3, and I went back on it again for about 4 or 5 months, and I got a transplant. So I was very lucky indeed in that respect. And then I had the transplant and it worked for 8 years, and I went back on dialysis in about 2005, I think it was 2004, 2005. And I did CAPD for a few months, but it wasn't really wasn't suitable for me. I have very low blood pressure with it. Mm-hmm. So then I went on to overnight dialysis.
That's with the CAPD?
Yeah, with the CAPD, yeah. And then that didn't really work. It's too good for me again, so they put me back onto hemo. Mm-hmm. And I was on hemo at the hospital for about 7.5 years, when they brought in the home hemo.
And what's the challenge, I suppose, when you first start on home hemodialysis?
The worry is learning it all. There is a lot to learn, but it's all worth it, and you get 100% support all the time. The support is amazing. It's there even when you've trained and somebody's with you training at the hospital solidly for 2 weeks. Then they come to you in the home for 2 weeks, and then they gradually wean it down and might come when you get on or when you get off, and then every other day. And so you're backed up all the time. There's support everywhere. When the nurse training you and the doctor's training you, when they leave you to do it on your own, there's still the support there. We've got a 24-hour line that we can phone for any machine problems, anything like that. The hospital staff are there for us, for any other sort of fistula problems and needling problems. Grace, the dialysis nurse, is there all the time in the week. Well, it's sort of work hours. And then after that, we've got Huntley and Palmer and Benyon at the end of the phone, or Victoria ward overnight and things like that. So the support is amazing, you know. We've got every support we need. There's no other we could want for.
So a lot of people worry about needling their own fistula. How do you find that?
Yes, it's obviously it's not your favourite thing to do, but I do buttonhole, which is easier than probably doing sharps. I have done sharps. When I first went on, I needed a new buttonhole created, and I did sharps to do it with the guidance of the home hemo nurse. And if there's any problems with needling it and we get into touch, then Grace will come out and she'll do transonic or help us with it. So you've got all the support. Obviously, you're putting quite needles into a vein. It is quite nerve-wracking to start with, but once you've done it, and you've done it on your own a few times, I sort of don't think nothing of it now. It's sort of, I just go on and do it sort of thing.
So how long have you been on home hemo now?
3 years, coming up to about 2 weeks or for 3 years. So, yeah, and it's amazing.
Can you tell us the difference that you feel before you start on home hemo and now that you're on home hemo?
Right, wow. The difference is, I mean, I thought I felt really well on haemodialysis from the hospital, but home hemo is, I'm never washed out, just not washed out at all. You get up, dialyse, or you do it really whenever fits in with your life, as long as you do it when you're in the times you're told, you know, you can do it any time of the day. I think some people do it overnight, every other night. I like to get up early in the morning and do mine, so I've got the rest of the day. I get off the machine, usually get washed, dressed, and I go out. I don't need to sit and rest. I've got quite a lot of energy all the time. I keep really well. I don't think I've had more than one cold in 3 years, which is pretty good. Yeah, so the benefits of health-wise are amazing, you know. For people that have got a family and want to carry on with life, it just fits in, because, you know, you can, it doesn't matter, like one day if you dialyse in the morning, the next day you could do the afternoon or midday or the evening. It sort of fits in with all appointments and everything that you need to fit it in with.
And obviously the medication side of things, do you worry about, you know, when you're managing your dialysis, you're also managing your own medications and as a diabetic?
Yeah, no, not really, because it all just, I've got a routine, and if you can get a routine with it really works well, you know. You're on the machine as long as I've got my whatever drugs I need while I'm on there, like my insulin's with me, my testing kit. If I need something to eat, I've got something there. I've got a kettle and I can make a cup of tea if I want it. And, you know, we still have the same as at the hospital. We have a tinzaparin and I think it's anticoagulant into the lines, the same as they do at the hospital. We do our own EPO, which is just an injection, because basically if you're needling your fistula, it doesn't make a difference to giving yourself an injection, because it just all comes, and it's like, as long as you're regular with it and you do what you're told to do with it, or what you're advised to do, and you follow that, it just goes smoothly. It just all fits in.
What about your family? What do they think about you dialysing at home?
My family are in fact, they like it because they know exactly what's going on, and it's actually taught them a lot about, I can come home from dialysis and tell them what was going on at the hospital, but they see it firsthand at home, and even friends, they pop in and see, and it's like, wow, you do that at home. They wouldn't have a clue sort of where to start with it, but it's good because they get a good understanding of what you're going through and what's going on.
And I think people feel that they're empowered because they're taking on their own treatment. Do you find that?
Yeah, I find the independence is absolutely amazing. I'm completely in charge of it. Obviously, I couldn't do it without being advised of what to do in the beginning and being trained, but after that it's sort of down to me and doing it and doing as I was trained and sort of told and what's best for me, and it's sort of in a way down to me as well to keep myself it's and I do feel really well on it.
And what advice will you give people if they are considering taking on home hemo?
I would say go for it. You've got nothing at all to lose by doing it. You've got 100% support all the time, whether it's down to needing support with like the nurses, the staff, or whether it's machine support, it's there all the time. It's a really independent way of living with it. You're not tied to appointment times as long as you do it at the for as long as what you're told to do it for. It's no good getting it at home and thinking, oh, I can skip that or skip this, because you can't. You've got to do it and be on online with it. But yeah, I would encourage anybody to try it at home. I really would. It's a great way to do it, to fit in with life.